Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 7 of the Here I Am podcast. And here today, I have a very fabulous woman. Her name is Leah, and she's known on the TikToks and the Instagram as leahforreal6. Hi, Leah. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing well. I gotta tell you, when I saw that you were following me and I had zero idea, I was just like, oh, this person said this really nice comment. And I clicked and I went, what the fuck? She follows me. I was like, no, no effing way. And now the fact that you're here and you're doing this, I have to say thank you so much for your time and thanks for like being a part of this.
Of course. I'm excited. I'm excited.
So first question, if I have anyone from TikTok on here, I have to ask, what made you start on the Tickety Talk apps?
I feel like the standard answer is quarantine for most people. Honestly, I had a friend, my friend Rebecca, she had been telling me about TikTok for months. And I was like, well, I don't really get into YouTube. I don't care to watch videos and stuff. I don't have the attention span. So I never checked it out. And she was just pushing me and pushing me. So then finally, once quarantine hit, I'm like, fine, I'll give it a try. And next thing I know, I was addicted. And here I am.
There you go. What made you want to like start posting content?
I've always enjoyed like making humorous content. Like I would post a lot of stuff to Facebook and stuff like that in the past. So once I got to see, I used to start, or I used to do a lot of like funny stuff. That was mainly, and it had a lot to do with dating and what it was like to date where Leah lives. So I found so much like relatable content on there. It took me a little bit to start posting. I think it took me a couple weeks of just scrolling before I got the guts to actually post. But then once I did, I just had fun with it. It was fun. I enjoyed the interaction and the engagement with everybody, and it just pushed me to post more. And it took up my time in quarantine when I was sitting in the house all by myself.
Yeah, not
So
doing anything. Yeah. I hear you. Honestly, for me, it was the same. Except for me, it was like the specific time range was like right when like the George Floyd incident happened.
mm,
And my outlet was just going on like Facebook or Instagram and just mindlessly scroll and just kind of like escape from the world because I was still working at the time. Um, but I was doing DoorDash, so it's still like very like isolating. Like you barely see anybody, don't talk to anybody or anything like that. And then like so when I was going on like Facebook and Instagram, it was just so like negative and like so heavy. And I was like, this is not helping my depression at all. And then one of my
no,
friends
it's
was
not.
like, yeah. And then so like one of my friends was like, well, dude, download TikTok. And I was like, I don't want to watch kids dancing. And then there was just like that's what I thought TikTok was. And she was like, dude, no, it's so much more than that. And then I was like, all right, fine. And then so I did, or I started watching, and then yeah, for me it was a couple of weeks, and then I was like, I could do this. And then like one night I got a little tipsy, and then I was like, fuck it, we're doing it. And I was like the time when like the story time was like the big like trend at the time. And I didn't realize that was a trend. I didn't understand trends, what trends were or anything like that. But then I made a video, I posted it, and it did really well. And I went, what the fuck? Like, what's going on right now? Like, what happened? And then I was like, I woke up like the next day and like I already had like 1,000 followers. And I was like, what is this? And then, yeah. And then I just went, all right, screw it. I'm going to make content and I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it. And yeah, it was for me, it was just like, for the longest time, it's just me dicking around, just like, sure, this might be funny here, and then do that. And then it wasn't until like when I got into like the mental health aspect of everything, it was like I was in like this like really heavy depression. And I was like, I need to vent, but I have no one to vent to. Fuck it. I'm gonna put it out into the void of the internet and see what happens. And just so I can get it out. And then people were like, yeah, that
That's
too. And
that's
I was
what
like,
made me start following. That's what made me start following you. I remember I had seen a lot of your content, and a lot of it was just so relatable. And you delivered such great messages. I was like, I freaking love this guy. I love this guy. And I don't even remember when I followed you. It was months and months ago. Um, but you were all over my For You page. So I was like, okay, TikTok universe, we're
they're
gonna
like,
follow.
follow this man. And then when I started following you and I saw like you had, again, you're drinking out of a mischief managed glass, I was like,
Uh,
oh, she's a Harry Potter nerd too. I was like, let's do it. I mean, so I have two water bottles. I have like a normal like Gryffindor Harry Potter water bottle, and then somebody made me, one of my followers but now friend, made me, you can't really see it on the camera, but it's a Griffin puff, because I always say like I'm not like, oh, I'm Gryffindor, but I also like have a lot of Hufflepuff tendencies, so I'm in Griffin puff. And
I would be for Hufflepuff for sure.
you would think of me a
That's what
Hufflepuff? Oh,
I'm
you
Hufflepuff.
are. Oh, okay, I had you. What, I guess, let's dive down the Harry Potter train. How old were you when you jumped into Harry Potter?
So I was in 10th grade, which was the year 2000. I'm old. And we were doing the, like, you know, that accelerated reader program in school where you would get so many points for reading books and you had to get so
Yeah.
many to pass your class or whatever. I hated reading. I hated it with a passion. I was not at all interested in it. So I had to do it for class. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to see what this Harry Potter crap's all about. Next thing I know, I'm reading during class, between classes in the hallway, to and from all my sports games. As soon as I get home from my sports game until it's dinner time, and then I would stop to eat, and then I would read until I passed out. I was at every opening night of every movie that came out, every book that came out. I was in line at midnight to get said book. I have a Harry Potter tattoo. Like, it's one might say it's a bit much, but I think it's just right. So.
Oh, there you go. I remember for me, it's like seventh grade. I think it was seventh grade, and we had like a sustained silent reading class. It was just like a place to like, hey, if you need to catch up on homework for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, or you read. And like the whole point of it was to like, here's the school's announcements for the day. All right, now like chill out for like the next like 20 minutes or so. And then they're all like, if you're not working on homework, then you have to have a book. And then so like I remember my mom took me to like this little bookstore called like Mrs. Nelson's or something like that. And I saw a Chamber of Secrets, and I went, oh, Harry Potter. Yeah, I think I heard of that. I'll do that. And so I read Chamber of Secrets first.
Were
And
you
then
confused?
no, not at all. Cause so I don't know when the last time, I don't remember the last time when you reread the series. But if you read Chamber first, it literally pretty much explains everything that happened in the first book as well. So I didn't feel really lost at all. Like I was just like, oh, like it explained, like you just kind of like picked up, it like kind of goes like, here, it was almost like previously on Harry Potter.
Oh,
And
like a
then
little
like,
okay.
yeah, so like, and if you like read through it, it's kind of like, oh, okay. And then I went back to Sorcerers, and then I went to Prisoner after that. So I kind of went like all over the place like the very first time I read it. And then I was like, I wonder what happens if I read it in order. Yeah.
You know, funny story about I believe it was it Order of the Phoenix? I think it was Order of the Phoenix when I
Harry
went
Potter
to
and the
buy
Teen
that.
Angst.
When I went to buy that book, I was standing in line at midnight to, you know, with a bunch of people, and I had my copy of the book, and we were just waiting for midnight to be able to go through the checkout and be on our way. And I was standing at like the self checkouts, and this haunts me to this day. I still feel guilty about it, but so they finally let us go through, and I scan my book, and it comes up $0. And I'm like, I kind of like looked around, scanned it again, it said $0, and I'm just like, maybe it's like not in their system yet, because it was like, you know, midnight and a few seconds after that. So I just put my book in the bag and I walked.
So you're really betting on that whole statute of limitations thing, or now that you're dating a police officer, he's gonna watch this and be like, honey, this has been a whole ploy the whole time. You've been on our most wanted list forever for stealing that one book.
I feel so like criminal about, I don't even have a parking ticket on my record. Like I feel bad about it to this day, but my friend was just like, because hers did the same thing. She's like, let's just go. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna go to jail tonight. Like the alarm's gonna go off. Nope, we just.
I wonder how many people went through the self checkout and just went like they all walked out with like a free book that night.
Yeah, I wonder how many people that happened to, because my guess would be, like I said, it might have to take like a minute or two to get into their system because they weren't technically supposed to sell it until after midnight. And I was like one of the first in line. So like I said, it was 12 o'clock in like 37 seconds at that point. So it probably hadn't come through the system yet.
Or were they
Not much.
telling you? Were they telling you like, okay, go ahead, start checking out?
They were looking at their watches, and when it hit midnight, they're like, all right, go ahead. But then their system wasn't.
Yeah, that's a them problem. That's not a you problem.
I know, but realistically, I could have been like, hey, this says $0. I should be paying. But, 23-year-old me was like, nope, I'm out. So
Deuces. You said in high school you did you would read between like sports games and whatnot. You did a lot of athletics in high school?
Oh, I played all the sports. Yeah. I was a big athlete. I did basketball. I quit that after 10th grade though, because that was my least favorite sport. I did track up until high school. And I ended up quitting that because fuck running. I hate it.
It's the devil.
And then my main one was softball. I played softball for 14 years. I was a pitcher. And then volleyball was a close second. So softball and volleyball were my big ones. I also did cheerleading. I was in band. I was in choir, color guard. What else did I feel like there's more? Oh, and football cheerleading, because we didn't get football in our high school till like my senior year. So I took on football cheerleading as well. Yep.
So when you did cheerleading, you did like competitive cheer?
No, no, I went to a really tiny school, so we didn't get into that. Cheerleaders in our school were not like you see in the movies. Like they weren't the popular girls. Our cheerleaders got made fun of. So we never really got into that type of stuff, but our band did pretty well. We'd go to competitions and stuff, and we would do pretty well there. And I went to band camp twice. And yes, ask me. I played the flute. I went twice. I liked it so much I went back a second time. So I'd get to play in big like orchestras and stuff there. That was pretty cool.
So when you were in high school, did you have like, because on your TikToks, you have like this very like self-confidence about you. So was that like something that you've always had, or has it been like something that you've had to like learn recently or so?
Very, very recently. I was very overweight most of my teenage years and my adult years. So I've had self-esteem issues stemming back from middle school onward. After high school, I got up to around 200 pounds. I dealt with constant rejection from, men, boys, we'll call them. I never felt comfortable in my skin, really, ever, until recently. And honestly, I know this is going to sound stupid and cliche, but a lot of it comes from TikTok and my online presence, because yes, in my life, I had, my close friends and my family that would try to build me up and, oh, you're beautiful, whatever. But to have the sheer amount of support and people from all over the world telling me day in and day out how I inspire them and how wonderful I am and how beautiful I am, like it helps. It absolutely helps. Yeah. Finally, one day it gets drilled into your head. You're like, you know what? Maybe I'm not so bad. So that has helped tremendously. Now, am I 100% confident? No, absolutely not. I just, it's called acting. I'm real good at it. So I'm working on it though. I've gotten leaps and bounds from where I used to be. But I'm still not 100% like, yes, I'm that bitch. You know what I mean? And I don't think I ever will be. It's just kind of ingrained in me, Well,
did you feel like that lack of self-confidence, or like, I guess you can call it like more like self-love? For me, that's how I'm kind of like resonated. Did you feel like it really like affected your past like relationships and everything with people?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The constant need for reassurance.
Yeah.
The abandonment anxiety. I can't tell you, I've lost count how many dudes throughout my adult life I dated and they just left with no explanation, which is absolutely, it just shreds you. It absolutely shreds you. You never get that closure. You never get, and deep down, I it's because of me, right? I'm not good enough. So even with my current relationship, bless his heart, because he is so tolerant of me. And like, I'm literally going to be at the altar if we get married, and I'll be like, do you still love me though? Like he'll be like, I do, and we'll be walking out for the procession, and I'll be like, are you sure about this? Like, you love me still? And he's
Like,
just gonna,
we haven't signed the license yet. Like, you
yeah,
can still get out.
right, right. You haven't signed your name, so you could actually still go, and it wouldn't surprise me. That's just how my brain works,
No, I'm in the same boat. I mean, when I was in high school, I was like, I think like the heaviest I weighed on record was like 386. And I was just a big boy. And like I had to I was finding myself, I would get picked on when I was younger. And then I learned that if I made people laugh, or if I made fun of myself before anyone else, like people might accept me. And I felt like I was just never like actually myself. And I never felt like I ever like fit in anywhere. And then
Yep.
like after even when I lost weight, I got like a really bad eating disorder, and no matter like how good I looked, I never felt like I wasn't good enough. You know what I mean? Like I got really lean. I was at 7% body fat, and I was like, not lean enough. I'm not lean enough. That's why no one's like finally no one's really accepting me. I'm just not lean. It's because I don't look good enough. I'm not good enough. And even like now, like I pretty much a lot of the weight that I lost, I've gained back. Granted, it looks a hell of a lot different on me now than it did back then. Um, but like now I've kind of like been able to accept me and myself and my body. And you're right, like TikTok has made a difference. It's not a stupid cliche. It's, when you have like your friends and family going like, no, you look great. Like, are you kidding me? Like, no, you're awesome. You're amazing.
Right,
It's like, you're supposed to say that because you're fucking in my circle. Like,
right.
shut the
You're
fuck
biased.
up.
I feel
Yeah.
like they're biased.
And it does help to have that. It does help to have like that reassurance from like random strangers. But I've hit this point, at least for me, I don't know what it's been like for you. I've been working on really just trying to validate myself and be proud of myself, instead of, from what I used to do, is try to be someone that I thought everyone else wanted me to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's that, and of all of the compliments and things that I receive on TikTok, and I've told my boyfriend this as well. It's nice to. My cat is yelling. Will you shut up? Go
No,
on. Yeah, don't edit this out. This is my life. Go on.
no, we're not. Trust me, my dogs are going to be running through one or both of them are going to bark about something. It's life. This is life. This is real. Here we are,
real.
being our natural selves. This is the whole point of this podcast.
Exactly. So I told my boyfriend recently, it's, of course it's nice to hear that, you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, but my favorite compliment to receive is how real I am. I hear that. And the name Leah for Real came way before my account even got large. Like I ended up changing it to that because it was my first and middle name, and I had people finding me on Facebook, and I was like, I don't like this. So I looked up other people's names, and people had like, the official in front of their name, or like for real after. So I just went with Leah for Real. The number 6 means nothing. I just randomly chose a number. There's no meaning behind it.
Oh, I thought there was like 5 other ones, and you're all like, well, I guess I'm the 6th real Leah.
Nope. There's I think Leah for Real was already taken. So they were like, how they suggest other names. And I think that was one of them. Cool. That'll work as long as it's, different. But I have so many people tell me that they appreciate how real I am. And it's because that's one thing I could say confidently. That I am me. I am a goofball. I will make a fool of myself. And I laugh at myself all the time. And my bio actually used to read like, because I used to do those Tinder reviews and stuff. That's when my account really started to pick up. I don't know if you've ever seen those or not. Those are my older videos, but that's when I started to really gain followers. I would review bad Tinder bios. And so my TikTok bio actually said mostly man bashing and self-deprecating humor, because I make fun of myself all the time. And I make myself laugh. So it's fine. Everything's fine.
Did it take you like a long time to finally start feeling comfortable in your skin? And like I guess I'm really asking because you kind of essentially did say that, but like what steps were you taking to like help you get more comfortable with yourself, and you can make yourself real, that you could be the Leah for real?
A lot of it, I don't know. Before TikTok, I really wasn't like actively searching to do that. I guess like this has really opened up like a whole different side of me, and it's helped me a lot. Now granted, yeah, you get lots of haters and trolls or whatever, and they used to affect me, but now I just use them for content and clapback purposes. But I think getting onto TikTok has made me realize that I can just be myself, and I don't hold back anymore. I don't hold back. You've been in my live streams. I'll pick my teeth. I'll use my phone to check my teeth. Really, oh, I couldn't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care. That's me. I'm a real person. I'm not a celebrity. I'm a real person, you know? And
Yeah.
I just try to be authentically me and not apologize for it, you know?
Yeah, that's beautiful. There's like a real strength in allowing yourself to be authentically yourself and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. I know for me, I had like I always knew I kind of needed therapy. Um and like the first go around with therapy I ever did, which was like I want to say like 2012, 2013, something like that. It was just a bad experience for me. Like I didn't feel like I was being listened to and like and anything that I was kind of I've mentioned this before in the podcast, but I felt like I was just like predicting everything that the therapist was going to say to me, right?
Right.
And then so like when it just kind of like fell through, I was just like, all right, screw it. Like I guess therapy isn't for me type of thing. Like I had no qualms with people who go into therapy. I'm like, good for you. It just didn't work for me. And then
Right.
I was just trying to like work on stuff, but it was just like I had no kind of guidance and whatnot. And then like I dealt with my mom passing, and then that was just like a whole nother level of like fucked uppery in my head because I was trying to process like, okay, she's gone. Now I'm suffering from PTSD from it. And then I'm like, okay, everything that I knew, which was taking care of her, being her caregiver, instantly was gone. And I'm like, all right, I don't know what the fuck to do anymore. And I'm like, all I know about me is that I have a good heart and that I'm a really caring person. That's all I knew about me. And then I was like, I don't even know what I want to do. I don't know. It's just very like a lost feeling. And then again, I tried, a friend of mine told me about like a therapy resource where therapists will go based on a sliding scale based on your income type of thing. And I was
Mhm.
like, all right, I guess I'll try that. And then that didn't pan out. And like I reached out to a therapist and I didn't reach out back. They didn't, send anything back. And I went, okay, like, is this like a sign? And then it wasn't until I started, I used this free therapy resource called Change Your Algorithm.
Mhm.
And like the first class I went into was like about like healing your traumas. And I just went, all right, it's free. Like a friend of mine asked me, he's like, hey, you have, at the time I had like 100,000 followers. And he was like, hey, dude, you have a pretty big platform. Do you mind sharing this company? And I was like, yeah, wait, what is it? And then he's like, he's telling me about it. And I'm like, it's free. All right, I'll definitely promote it. And I was like, bitch, I'm going to use that shit too. Like, I got to try it out. And then
Right, of course.
it was just like the first class, it was like all the stars aligned and like I was like,
Oh,
boom, this is like exactly what I needed to hear. And then like for me with therapy, it's taught me a lot about being kind to myself and stop beating myself up so much and like realizing, becoming a lot more aware of my thoughts and like realizing like the negative thoughts that I do have about myself because we all have them. Like it's not, you know, if anyone never has any negative thought about themselves, that that's like such a rarity and they're very lucky to be able to do that. But for me, it was just like realizing that those are just thoughts. Doesn't mean that they're doesn't mean that they're right, doesn't mean that they're wrong or anything like that. It's just a thought and it's my choice if I really want to listen to it or
right.
not. And then like with me, like being vulnerable on like TikTok, like that, we're talking about like being real. Like I'm just going like, here's my raw emotions. Like, here we go. Like, this is me suffering on like heart, here, camera, enjoy.
Yeah,
Like
it's an outlet.
that always scares the shit out of me. People think like
Yeah,
I'm so like confident about doing it. I'm like, no, every time I post something vulnerable, it scares the shit out of me because like I'm still that dude who's like, you know, I'm still that former fat kid. I still get I'm still used to getting bullied and picked on and shit like that. And like even though I know how to handle haters a lot better, it's still that fear that like something like that's gonna come up.
yeah, I can relate. I can relate to that.
So I'm assuming like you definitely feel like the same way, like when you're actually being like you put out something that's like yourself, and there's like a craziness about it. I mean, like, we're doing a fucking podcast right now and we're like talking about our shit. And like, that's like a whole other level of like being vulnerable. So
Yeah.
like, how are you handling that right now? I know you told me you were nervous about coming on here before, but is it like,
I was, but I wasn't, I guess I was more nervous that I was just going to like say something stupid, and that we've still got time for that. That's bound to happen. That's bound to happen because that's just what I do. So we'll see.
yeah, but something stupid makes good content, and I appreciate you for it. So don't worry about
Again,
it.
and that's something I would end up posting on TikTok probably, because I'm like, people will laugh at my, misfortune here. So
Yeah, but I mean, the way that I would look at it, just to spin it for you real quick, is you're, whoa, that was weird. I've never had that before.
what happened?
It gave me a time limit warning. I've never had a 40 limit time limit with just 2 people. It was always just open and free.
Huh.
Okay, cool. What was I just saying? I do not recall.
I don't remember either.
Yeah. Oh, I remember now. When you do show out like your mess ups and all those types of things, that, I mean, to be honest, it really just shows that you're I mean, you're just saying it's okay to be goofy, like it's okay to be yourself, it's okay that this shit happens. Like, it's not
Yeah.
like that at all.
Yeah.
Or it's okay to do that.
Yeah, I've had a lot of videos that I questioned whether I should post or not, because like, there are days where I look like a straight up swamp creature and I'm like, oh God, I look ratchet, but I'm going to post it anyway because I am real, and this is real life. It's not behind the TikTok filters or whatever. So I always get real nervous when I post that stuff, because I don't know. I guess my biggest fear is like someone's going to look at it and go, oh, and that's going to affect why that affects me, that an internet stranger cringes at the way I look without makeup, is just boggles my mind. But I've always cared way too much what people think, and recently I've gotten better about that, obviously. But yeah, that was always a big fear of mine. Now I don't care. I don't care anymore, and that's on growth, I guess.
That is on growth.
Yeah.
High five. Freaking winner chicken dinner. That's awesome. So I know that you've talked about like your past relationships and like how difficult like those may have been. What has led you to be able to start trusting again and being able to like take that leap of faith with Gray?
Gray was not planned at all. We kind of ended up meeting at a time where we were both at very low points in our lives, and it was just like a happenstance. Like, we didn't mean to meet. There was no intent there. It just kind of happened. So with him, of course, to this day, I still have trust issues, and he will tell you that. And I realize that that's not fair to him, and I acknowledge that it's not fair to him, but it's my trauma, if you will, from past relationships, and where I would put my trust in a guy and it would turn out he was not trustworthy. So that's honestly something that I'm still working on. I do trust him, I do, but there are times where it wavers, and he's been so great at just calming me down, and he's so damn patient, and he's an alien. I've decided he's an alien for dealing with me and we say that I'm a roller coaster, because I'm constantly like just all over the place. Maybe one day that might calm down. But for now, it's just I guess it's a learning process, to answer your question. There's nothing that I'm like actively doing. It's just kind of getting through it with him. And maybe once I get to that point and kind of get over that hump, one day I'll just be able to just chill and not have those issues anymore. But they're still there. They're not as prevalent with him as they used to be with past relationships, because he has gone above and beyond and just proven to me that there may still be good dudes in the world, and he's one of them. And yeah.
No, that's beautiful. I know for me, I got with my like past relationships where things went awry, I realized that a lot of it was like not like it was my fault. In a way it was. It's just because like again, I wanted them to like me, so I was trying to pretend to be something that I wasn't, and be like, oh my god,
Yep.
like you actually like me? No freaking way. And then it just kind of hit a point where they're like, okay, I can't deal with your uncertainty anymore or anything like that. And then I realized that for me, it that turns into, this is more about you than it does about me.
Yeah.
And now that I'm like starting to like begin to love myself a lot more, it's one of those like, if you want to be with me, awesome. If you don't, cool. Like I've been through enough in life to where uh like I get it, and it's fine. Like I'm not worried about it. I've been single for most of my life. It's fine. Like I can totally just deal with it, you know?
Yeah. See, I'm the exact opposite. I have major attachment issues. And I think you would think after being hurt so much, I'd learn to maybe hesitate, but I don't. That's my, I am like, when I meet somebody and I like them, I'm all in. I'm here. Let's do this. I'm all in. I don't hesitate. And on the other hand, it makes me accept things I shouldn't accept, treatment I shouldn't accept, make excuses for shitty behavior and everything like that. So luckily with Gray, I have never had to do anything of the sort. He's a freaking alien, and now we're going on our 8th month together, and it's mind-boggling to me. But I can understand, if I were dating me, I would be exhausted. I think it would be exhausting being on the other end of that. So I give for anyone to date an overthinker or someone with abandonment anxiety issues, or past traumas and stuff, like, kudos to them, because it takes a very patient person and a very understanding person to put up
Uh
with that.
Very much, very much. So yeah, for me it was just like I was uh I was really just struggling to be myself. And I still do kind of have like attachment issues when it comes to like when I'm talking with someone, because I am like you, where I'm just like, all right, fuck it, I'm all in, like let's go, like here I am, like, you know, you have my attention, like let's talk and let's just see where things go. But I think for me it was, if it didn't pan out, or there's like a form of like rejection, I go, okay, this sucks, but it just means that that person wasn't my person, and it just kind of just wasn't meant to be, you know what I mean? So it wasn't, so I'm like, I'm very like my perspective has changed on it. And that's where I was even thinking about, like, because like I've been very like anti like dating apps or whatever, just because like I remember what it was like when I used to do them, and like how there's like a lot of pressure when it comes to dating apps, where it's like if you match with someone, it's like, oh shit, they think I'm cute, so like what if this is the person, what if this is it, like what if this is the thing? And then like, then that's when I would try to go like, okay, what do you like, let's figure out. And like, I just want you to like me, like me, like me. And then now if I feel like if I did dating apps again, I'd be like, all right, if it happens, cool. If not, all right. But now I'm kind of afraid to, because I don't know if you'd ever start going back to your Tinder series and just start roasting me. Like you find mine and you're like, fuck this guy.
You'd be out of my radius. It'd be okay.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I had so many people reach out to me and be like, oh my gosh, you should look at guys in my area. And I'm like, no, like my series was, this is what online dating is like where Leah lives. So I said, like, if you ever go back, if you just like go one day, if you ever get bored on TikTok, search leahforreal6 Tinder or online dating or something like that. It pulls up a ton of because that was my niche at the time. Every one of those profiles that you see are actual profiles that I come across. They're not just shit I find on Google. It's actual shit. Then like, so it got to the point where I had the idea one day to make this video. I had started TikTok in the end of February, early March of 2020. And my first like viral video was the very first Tinder review I ever did. And that was in like July of that year, I think. Because I was swiping through and I found myself just laughing at the shit I saw on there, because it was just so off the wall. And so I decided to make a video of it, and people loved it. And I was like, I'm going to turn this into a thing. So everything that you see on any of those are all legit. None of those are from outside of my area. like, yeah, I expanded my radius a little bit because originally I only had it, 15, 20 miles or something. So when I started doing the series, I think I expanded it to like 50 to 100 miles or whatever, but it's still my area. Um, so everything that you see on there is actual stuff that I've come across in my swipes.
Um, and then it's just funny because then you start dating someone and you didn't even like meet them on like online dating. Like I know for me, like most of my pretty much all my relationships that I've had have stemmed from like real life situations. I think like the last one, the person I was dating, it was they found me on TikTok, but they contacted me through Instagram. And
Mhm.
I didn't know if it was, I didn't know that they found me through TikTok. I thought it was just like this random person saw me on like their explore page or
Right.
something like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's why I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And then, but it was still like, oh, I didn't meet her on a dating app or anything like that. Like her and I met that way, and kind of still in like a real life scenario.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so I was just like interesting.
Yeah, I really haven't had that many like actual relationships in my life. My marriage was a guy that I had met through like school. So that was a real life. Um, my last like boyfriend, that was through Facebook. So I guess you could call that online because he popped up in like the people you may know or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and he was in my hometown and I, found him attractive. So I added him and messaged him. And but for the most part, everything I've ever done with somebody that I met through a dating app or whatever was just a joke. It was just a bust every time. So I just lost all my luster for that and just started making fun of them instead.
You talk about your husband, and this is something I really wanted to ask you about. It seems like you and your ex-husband, because you have a daughter, correct?
Mhm. Yeah.
You seem to both be nailing the whole co-parenting thing. Like it
Yeah.
seems like you guys just you get along really, really well when it comes to that. And I know, I've met many single women who are single mothers, and that's not necessary. I even know guys who are having issues co-parenting like that. What would be like your secret to success for that?
Honestly, I think, of course, it was rough in the beginning when the divorce initially happened. There was, I would say, the first year or so, it was pretty rough. But I feel like that's kind of standard, no matter what happens in a marriage. Um, but honestly, I think that we just finally got to the point where we decided like we need to just let bygones be bygones and focus on the child. Um, we're both adults here. And it just, I don't know, we had a lot of like long in-depth talks and just got to the point where it just took time. It just took time to get there, I guess. And her stepmom is absolutely wonderful. I can't say enough about her stepmom either. I'm so thankful that she is in her life. I'm so thankful that she's in her life. Treats my daughter like her own and has done so much for that child. And I talk to her more than I do my ex-husband. Just because the wife usually gets shit done when it's important stuff, like you talk to the wife, right?
Yeah.
um so that has helped tremendously, having her in the picture, because I actually knew her ahead of time, so she wasn't just some strange woman coming into the life of my child. So that was another thing too. I knew that she was a good person, and that helped a lot, with my comfort of my daughter having, a new mother figure in her life. I have never once questioned her integrity or anything when it came to we're literally like we all just went to a carnival together, a couple weeks ago. Like we met up there so my daughter and her brother, who is her stepmom's son, could ride rides together. And me and Gray walked around with them, and my mom and my brother came. We do things together for the kids, and some may think that's a strange dynamic, but I feel really lucky, honestly, to have such a good relationship with her dad and her dad's family.
No, that's no, that's amazing. And that it's rare. I mean, that is rare because I think like a lot of the times and I could be wrong because I'm not a person in that with having that experience, but I think a lot of the times from what people have told me, it's like the other person takes things personally. And it's like, no, I'm just trying to like, this is for the interest of our child. I'm not
Right.
trying to attack you, or I'm not making this about your parenting. I'm saying this is something I'm noticing. Like, let's come together and see if we can figure this out. But I think it's, I think it's really difficult when you were with when you're with a person who you're either married to, or like you were in a serious relationship and you ended up having a child with them, where that when that dynamic changes, it becomes difficult, because it's still like, well, this is the person that I was with. And then, like you said, it took time to be able to come to that understanding, like, hey, I just want what's best for our daughter. Like this, I just
Yeah.
want what's best for her,
Right.
and trying to make sure that she's still feeling loved and happy, and like still being taught like these great qualities about life, about like, hey, you are loved, you have a voice, you have these powers, you have power, and like all those, like empowering the child versus like, well, I'm a child of divorce and it sucked.
Yeah. Yeah. And she was pretty young when we split. She was only about a year and a half old. So realistically, having like a separate houses and stuff like that is all she's ever known, because she's not going to remember prior to that, because she was so young. Um, so obviously, like I said in the beginning, yes, it was rough, but it's a learning curve. It really is. It really is. When you're going through a divorce with someone, there wasn't like a lot of animosity in our divorce. It wasn't anything like that. Um, but it's still a learning curve, and it just took us some time to get there. I would say the first year, maybe two, that but they weren't torrential. It wasn't awful. There was quite a bit of arguing, but it never was anything that like blew the roof off the house or anything like that. It wasn't. And even to this day, we'll still have a disagreement here and there. But if you were to ask me the last time we had like a full out argument, I couldn't even tell you. It's been pretty smooth sailing for the last 4 years, probably. And I feel
That's
very fortunate. I feel very fortunate for that.
that is absolutely amazing. So I guess your advice for people who are kind of going through like a difficult time with like their spouses, hey, just try to kind of find some common ground and build from there.
I mean, yeah, if I were one to, I don't know that I'm really one to ask advice on this, but I it takes two. That's the thing. It takes two. Like you can try your best to be the bigger person and to be the mature one, but if the other party doesn't want to do that, there's not much you can do. Luckily in this case, both parties wanted to do that. Um, but gosh, I don't know. Like if someone were to come to me and say, "Hey, father of my child's being a complete douchebag. What do I do about it?" I don't know. I don't know what I would tell them. That's a tough situation because I've never really been in it.
Yeah, I for some reason I do get asked those types of questions a lot, and I'm like, I mean, I've never been in that position, so like, who am I to like say anything? And
Yeah,
the only thing I could ever say is like, hey, you both need to realize and come to that understanding that like it's the most important thing is your child
yeah,
and how happy they are, and making sure they're well taken care of, and try not to like hardcore criticize each other about like what you're doing. Just try to ask and have like an open dialogue, trying to keep like the dialogue open, and not try to take everything so personal. Like, it's like, hey, I'm not attacking you on your parenting styles. Like, I'm saying I'm noticing this. I'm curious as what's happening, so I can have the information of what's going on, or I can have like a better understanding, or like, oh, our son or daughter said this to me about like what's happening over there.
yeah,
Just
yeah. And
I just want to make sure we're all on this, like being on getting on the same page, I guess.
yeah. And I will say it is hard to not take things personally when you're going through uh, that learning curve, I guess, because a lot of times things can be said that makes it seem like one is bashing the other's parenting style, or vice versa. So the key word to what you said is both. Like both people need to want to come to a common ground, and a lot of times that's not the case, and that's unfortunate as hell. But luckily in my case, that was what was going on. So yeah, I mean, it just takes a certain level of maturity, and looking to, and again, when did we split? We split in 2015, so we're going on our 7th year. So if after 7 years things were still like tumultuous, then obviously something's wrong there. But I can understand if someone's going through it in the beginning. Um, and if someone were to come to me, I would just tell them I guess it just takes time and persistence. You have to stick to, don't fall. If somebody's being a douchebag, don't fall to their level. Stay up here. Like a TikTok I just made. If anyone's trying to bring you down, they're already beneath you. So just stay up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Whenever I have like a hater or something come at me like that, it's very I always just kind of like feel more empathy towards them now, because I'm like, I know that there's something going on with you
Exactly.
that is causing you that you see like me, and something just triggers you and you feel like you need to like bring me down to my level, or like you need to make yourself feel more than, like you need to try to feel like you're better than me.
And they
And
don't
for
realize that's what they're doing either. They don't realize that that actually literally happened to me just recently. Gray and I had this woman that was just relentlessly hateful in our comment section, saying all kinds of stuff about how he doesn't deserve me, which is it's bullshit. I feel like I don't deserve him. Like he's a goddamn alien. But she would come in our lives and like she'd call him a clown. Like she just didn't like him for some reason. She just had this vendetta, and then she would leave shitty comments on my videos as well. And we ended up blocking her, and then she blew up on both of us. So then here we go, fast forward to several months later, after she had been gone for a while. I got a message from her on Instagram, and she apologized, and she said she had just lost a family member. I don't remember, one of her family members had passed. And she was sad and angry and had been lashing out and taking it out on others. And so I still to this day haven't responded to her. It's going to take me a minute because she was pretty awful.
Yeah.
I'm a very forgiving person, and I'm a very understanding person. So I have yet to reply to this woman just because of all the hateful shit she said. But it's just, you say that, and that's actually happened to me. Somebody came and she acknowledged that. So that's the first step.
Yeah, that's always like a big thing. I've had those instances too, where a dude lashed out at me, and then like I responded, but I came from a place of like empathy, and then they would go, yeah, you're right, shit's just going down. And it's just like, sometimes when people see like other people being like thriving, granted I'm definitely not thriving, but maybe they just saw me being emotional, and they just went like, no, men aren't supposed to do that. And it's like, no, it's
Don't you
okay.
dare.
Yeah. But yeah, sometimes people need to like lash out and tear people down. I actually had this is really fucking funny. So today at the gym, I'm getting ready to like warm up and like stretch and all that stuff, and this guy comes up, he's like, hey man, you have a minute? And I was like, yeah dude, what's up? First thing he said, he made like a reference to one of my TikToks, and I was like, oh. And I was like, wow, someone's like recognizing me in the real world. Okay, this is weird.
Oh, look at you. Okay.
No. This is where it got funny. He was like, dude, I've seen you in here for like the past few months working out, and I saw that your hair would be up in a man bun. And he's like, the first thought I had of you was like, this guy is a giant douchebag. And I just started cracking up. I was like, yeah, that I was like, that tracks. Yeah, I'm sure I do look like a douchebag. So like, I'm not offended. Like, I get it. And then he was just like, but then like, he was like, but yesterday I was brushing my teeth, getting ready for bed, just scrolling on TikTok, and then one of your videos popped up. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, yeah. And then like then he's like, then I was like, oh, I recognize that guy. Goes down like the rabbit hole, and he's like, dude, you're not a douchebag at all. And I was like, thanks.
Really, thanks, I guess.
I was like, thanks. And he was just like, but it was really sweet of him. But he was like, dude, I'm sorry for ever thinking you're a douchebag. I'm like, dude, I had in my head, I had no idea that you thought I was a douchebag, but
Yeah.
like, thanks. I mean, like, I do, like, I get it, because like, sometimes like we see people and we have like this preconceived notion on who we think they might be or whatever. But I mean, the reality is that we don't. Everyone has a story. People are going through shit that we have zero idea about. And I know for me, like, for the longest time, I struggled with that. Like when my dad died and like when my mom died, one of the things that I struggled with was like, I look out into the world and be like, no one has any idea. No one has no idea that my world just imploded, and like I'm suffering everyone's just driving by, living their lives. And then that's what made me like, I guess, like more empathetic towards people, because like I know that like me was going through that. And so that's why I try to be as kind as possible to people, because like I don't know, what if they're going through that too? Or like what if
Yeah.
they're going through like the worst possible thing in their lives and they're just trying to go day by day? Because I know like when I was dealing with that shit, all I wanted was the world to just stop. Like, hold on, stop. Everyone needs to stop. Like world needs to go on pause. Like it needs to stop
Yep.
spinning. I need time to fix this and process this. And then when I realized that it didn't, and like I was just like, that thought was popping in my head. I'd be like driving to the gym and I'd be like, no one knows. Like no one here has any idea. This is so trippy. And that's
Yeah.
where I'm like, oh yeah, this is why we need to be kind to people, because what if they're going through it too? Like we don't know.
Yeah. I do that. I find myself doing that in airports because obviously I'm in airports a lot lately. Um, I'll be like walking through the airport and I'll just look at like, the hundreds of people that are around me. And I'm just like, I know nothing about any of these people's lives. And it's just to think about like, like, does this person have kids, or is this person married? Is this person divorced? Who's this person's best friend? What do they do for a living? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's just so much that you don't know about people. And that's just something I find myself doing. I'll look at people and try to figure out, I feel like he's maybe an accountant or, you know what I mean? Like something like that. I try to read people. I find I'm kind of good at it, but sometimes I'm not. So uh, obviously I give myself to people that I shouldn't, but no, I agree. The world does not stop. The world does not stop.
Well, I mean, I think like the thing that I get, I also get a lot as people go like, I don't want to be vulnerable around people, or I don't want to like open myself up to people because for the fear of like getting taken advantage of type of thing, or like the like situations get rough. And it's like, I understand that. I do. I know that I felt like I got my kindness got taken advantage of or whatever. But again, this goes back for me. It's like that says more about them than it does about me. I think it takes real bravery to be able to let someone in and be able to take that leap of faith. And if it didn't pan out and like some like red flags were ignored or whatever, again, that's just more about, to me it says more about them than it does about you for having the strength to be vulnerable like that,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
to like
Absolutely.
to put yourself out there like that. Now when if it blows up in your face, it does suck. Like that fucking sucks. Like there's no changing that or anything like that.
Right.
But it's always just so like, I don't know, it's just, it's hard for me to, I like, for me, like I want people to be encouraged to go like you don't have to like sit alone. You don't have to be in that headspace. And that's because I've been in that headspace for so many years in my life where I'm just like, sometimes you just gotta say fuck it. And that's kind of what this podcast has been for me. I'm like, fuck it. I've had this idea in my head. I'm just gonna fucking do it. Just fuck it. Let's see what happens.
Good. Good for you. Good
No,
for
I
you.
appreciate you. So I've taken up a lot of your time already. So the way I like to end these podcasts is I'm a really big proponent of counting your victories for the day, no matter how big or how small they are. Like it could be you just woke up and you got out of bed today, to I solved world peace and like the world's happy-go-lucky. Like anywhere in between. Like there's victories for us to be proud of that we accomplished for the day. So Leah,
Okay.
my question for you is, what is a victory of yours today?
So today I upped the weight of my kettlebell to 20 pounds for the first time and did a circuit with that. So I was pretty proud of that. That
Hell
was
yeah.
that was rough. I've been using a 12-pound kettlebell for like 2 years. So, well, minus the 1 year or the few month break in between there when I had a nerve injury and couldn't do anything. So I actually ended up, it was actually about a year. I took about a year off because of that. But
Mm.
I used the 12-pound kettlebell for the longest time, and I've been going hard at it since March of this year. And I realized I'm like, this feels like nothing. Like I feel like I could just hold this with my pinky. So I decided to up the weight, and I upped it to a 15-pound. And yeah, that was a little bit of a. I mean, yeah, like it. I was like, okay, there's definitely a difference here, but it wasn't enough. So I got a 20-pounder. And I did like a 15-minute circuit today, and I almost perished, but I made it. So that's my victory for today.
That's badass. Mine is I guess we're both doing workout ones today. I realized that my body was just tired because I was lifting weights, and like weights that normally feel really easy for me were just feeling really heavy for me. And I
Mhm.
just went, all right, dude, just your body's telling you it needs a break. Because usually, like before, I would beat myself up about it. I'm like, oh my God, you weak motherfucker. I can't believe you can't do this, and just like get
Yeah.
really negative about myself. But today I was just really kind. I guess the win is I was really kind to myself about it, because I was just like, no, it's okay. Live to lift another day. Like, it's okay. Like, this happens. You've been doing this long enough. You know it. It's okay. Your body is telling you it's tired. So, throughout the rest of your workout, you don't need to be lifting the max. You don't need to max out on everything. Just take it easy and
Yep.
still take the win that your body moved. You moved your body today, and you still
Yeah.
got to work out in. And I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah. See, I beat myself up over that too, but I've learned that one day is not going to undo everything. You haven't come this far to have one day screw it up. You know what I mean? So I have to
100%.
tell myself that too. One day is not going to undo everything you've done. Like, yeah, one day you cheat and eat a lot of pizza, you're going to be bloated the next day, but it's going to go away. You didn't gain 5 pounds overnight. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
you're more than likely just retaining a butt ton of water right now, and that's
and
perfectly fine.
sodium, yeah, because your body's like, what is this? We haven't had this in a year. So you know what I mean? So that's a good mindset. Good for you. Good for you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you for coming on here. Thank you so much. Like,
No problem.
unbelievable that you said yes to this. So I very much appreciate you. And so everyone else, please, if you like this, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, or if you're listening to this, please leave a review. I appreciate you all so much. I will see y'all next week. Be kind to yourselves and be good.